Hello friends, in today's lecture we are going to study session how to transfer data from one page to another with QueryString, and we are also going to study a popular standard control which is file upload control, which you require in most of your projects. So let us start by creating a new project. So I will add one ASPX page as usual. Now let us start with file upload control. As you all know, in today's era, data uploading is very critical activity. Everyone has to upload photos or videos onto the server and work around it. So for that, ASP.NET has a file upload control. So with this file upload control, you can browse onto the file which you want to be selected or to be uploaded, and we will upload that particular file with the help of upload button. So I will generate a click event for this upload. Uploading file is a very simple activity. You first have to check whether the file upload control has some file in it, otherwise it will throw an error. So the first step is to check whether the file upload control contains any file or not. So in this syntax we are also going to study some important aspects of accessing the files into the server and how to access them. So uploading the file directly in this route will not help, as it is not a good practice. So we will create a folder and we will call it as uploads. Now we will upload our selected file in these upload folders with its name. So let us take the file name from the file which is selected in this file upload control. Now the code for this is, you have to select file upload control one dot posted file dot file name. This will return the name of the file with its extension of which file was selected. So file upload one, whenever you might have noticed that whenever we post file, we do not cut file from our local system and upload it on the server. We make a copy of it. So this code suggests that file upload one has a file which is posted on it and we are retrieving its file name. Now we want to save the file on the server. So for that we have a code dot posted file dot save as I just told you that we do not cut paste the file, we create a copy of that file, and we have to, in this parenthesis, we have to mention where on the server to post this file. So server.mapPath is an important function for all of you. Server.mapPath returns the current path. As you all know, and we have been discussing this since very long time, that in any web application you cannot have a static path. Like you cannot specify a path like d colon projects abc and such and so on. Similarly, you cannot post a path like c colon images pictures then 123.jpg. You always have to post a relative path whenever working with the web folder or web application. So server.mapPath is a standard ASP.NET function which returns you the physical file path that corresponds to a specific virtual path on web server. If you mouse over this, it will show you this thing also. It returns the physical path that corresponds to specific virtual path on the server. So by typing server.mapPath, I got the place of this default.aspx.cs file. Now I do not want to upload the file into this aspx.cs directory where this particular cs file resides. I want to upload this file into this upload folder. So from now on, server.map path, I will give the fixed path as uploads and a semi followed by a forward slash, and this I'm adding it because this is the static folder which I have already created and I want the file to be uploaded on this path. So I will append it with the file name. That so with this syntax I'm mentioning that file upload I'm asking file upload 1 the posted file on it to save at on. I'm getting the path of my current directory using default.cs using this function. Then I'm going forward to upload folder and I've already taken the file name here in this string and I'm just supplying this particular string. So with this my code is over. If you see, it is very basic code and you don't need to write much of the details. So I will go on to this page and run this page. So as you see, in all the programs, file selection control will appear. Excuse me, my system is not responding. So as you see, a file upload control will appear. I can select any file I want to update and I can click on upload button. So once I click the upload button, the file will already be uploaded on the server. If you can see, the file name was india.png and it is uploaded. Now I can similarly upload any file onto this server. Like I can also upload a PDF file, and if you see, the PDF file will already get uploaded into the server directory. So with this you can upload any number of file. The only restriction is, by default the upload size of this standard upload control is 4 MB. Like if I select a file which is more than 4 MBs, it will throw an error. For example, I will select this file of 6 MB and try to upload it. It will throw me an error saying that maximum request length exceeded. As I told you, it can upload image or any file of up to 4 MB. So to overcome this problem, you have to make some settings into your web config file. HTTP runtime, max request length, and you can keep it to 10 MB. So I have made a setting into my web config file and I have asked it to upload a request length of around 10 MB. It is in KB, so I have converted into MB. Now if I refresh the page, so the file of over 4 MB will also get uploaded. Now if you see the upload folder, this image will also appear into the site. Now I can upload the files of size more than 4 MBs. So even if you look at this image, it has 6 MB size and I can upload that file quite easily onto the server. So I hope you understood this particular activity. It is very simple but very frequently required activity. So this is with our file upload control. Now we will see how we can transfer data from one page to other page and how we can navigate from one page to other page by using some internal navigation. By far you understand the navigation through href, a href tag. You can specify the link of hyper controls and you can specify it to redirect to some other page. But what in case you want to navigate to other page after clicking of button? So consider an example where there is login. Consider this example there that we have a login here and on button click, after successful validation, you are going to the next page. Now it doesn't happen that post successful login or authentication you cannot remain on the same page. If you see your Facebook login, once you enter username, password and click on login, you get redirected to some other page. It doesn't show you a href tag, now click on this to go to your dashboard and something like this. All the navigation happens in the background. So we will see how to do it. So for that you just have to write response dot redirect and you have to name the page of the page where you want to redirect it, default to .aspx. So if I click on this button now, I will be redirected to default to page. So I will write welcome. I will take one label here. So that you understand it. So if I click on login button, I am getting redirected to other page and I am seeing the things. But now what if I want to send some data from this page to the another page? As you all know, web pages do not have any memory. They cannot, once a page is redirected from this default to default2.aspx, everything on default.aspx gets lost and this page becomes stateless. I mean, it doesn't have any memory. Now what if I want to store the username and password and send it to the next page? So there are several ways for me to doing it. One of them is by using QueryString. So in QueryString you have to append your URL by placing a question mark and you can define a key value pair. So key can be anything. So in this case I have pasted key as username and I have to paste its value as textbox1.text. So whatever I write into the textbox1.text will be carried forward to default2.aspx with this key. Secondly, if I want to add more elements to my query string, I need to append it using ampersand sign. So question mark sign can be used only once at the start. It cannot be added here. So if I want to append new elements, I need to use and sign, and maybe I will also send the password for the time being, which is not a good practice to send the password to the next page, but as this is a use case, I am simply sending the value of text box 2 dot text along with the content. So I have written two values into this text box and I am clicking the button. So if you see, the URL has changed to this. I missed the equal to sign here. So my data from that page has shifted to the new page. If you see your Gmail account or your Facebook account, your data is shifted just like this. But the values inside this key value pair are not readable because they are encrypting these particular values. As you try and log into your Facebook account, you will also see something similar to this, but this content is in encrypted format. Now on the second page, if I want to read this content, I will have to write some code for this. So on page load, it is good practice to always write if not is post back, and then write your code. Request.QueryString is the syntax to read query string. And as you know, there can be multiple key value pairs. I need to specify which key I need to read at this point of time, and I am converting this into a string format. So if I now refresh this page, I will see here as my name. So I have successfully transferred data from one page to other page. Similarly, I can send the user ID here in this query string, so that I can fetch, I can here write select query from database to get all info about ID. I mean 1. If I consider my ID as 1, I can write a select query that we studied in selecting data from database lecture. I can select all the data related to this ID, and then I can show all the data into this page. So this is how Facebook also selects the data. So on page load, they select the post or the friends who are, they are writing the nested selected query, and they are fetching all the posts shared by your friends, and they are displaying it on your wall. So this is one way of sharing the data from one page to other. And why Facebook and Google use this? Because this doesn't require additional resource on the server. This query string is maintained by the client. Now for an illustration purpose, you can go onto your Facebook and edit this encrypted string, and you will end up on a error page, or you may not see a page properly. You may get logged out of the system. So this method is mostly used because the server doesn't want to store your data or your transaction history onto the server. So this data is maintained on the client platform itself, and to make it secure, they are simply using good encryption techniques to encrypt the value pair of that particular keys. Now let us take the second approach to do the same activity. So on this button click, I can create a session. Now creating session requires a lot of server resource. Why? Because session, when we write session, its state is maintained by server. So whenever we declare any session, the server has to look after that particular session. So I can also create a similar activity. I'll just comment this for the time being, and I will simply send so I'm creating a session on this page with key as username, and I'm storing the value of textbox1 into this session, and I'm redirecting my page from one page to the next page. So on this page I will just have to comment this thing, and I can also write session username. Session can store any kind of data. You can store a data table into session, you can store object into the session, you can store array into session. Session is a universal container. You can store anything inside session. So now if I go back to the home page, if I am writing my name, so my name is also appearing here, and no data is getting transferred through QueryString. Then how this data is getting transferred? This data is getting transferred by using session variables. But as I told you, session has biggest disadvantages because the server has to maintain its log, its values, its key pair, and everything. So it increases the load onto the server. But it is not that it is totally worthless. In the cases where you cannot send the data through QueryString, or when the data is very sensitive, you can always opt for session, because sessions are a bit hidden into the system. But there is also a term called as session hijacking, which you can read on Google. Like, people can hijack the session and continue with the existing, they can steal their login session. So there are further possibilities available in Visual Studio, but that will go into advanced factor. So for time being, you should understand the use of session and use of QueryString, which I feel you can now do it on your own to send the data from one page to the other page. So you can either use session or you can use QueryString, depending on the data sensitivity. Now I will also tell you one more method of transferring the server.transfer. This is also one method to redirect from one page to the other page. Now this is also a code for navigating from one page to the other page. We will see the difference, what is the difference in both the entities. So I have successfully transferred from default page to default 2.page, but if you see the URL here, URL remains the same, default.aspx. So when you use server.transfer, it only transfers the execution to the next page, while the URL of the page remains the same. So there are several advantages of this and several advantages to this activity as well. So server.transfer can be used to transfer the control within the page, within the project, sorry. So if all your pages are within your particular project, you can use server.transfer. But if you want to go out of the project, like you cannot go to google.com using server.transfer, you will need response.redirect. Some of the functionality of forms or some additional functionality may not work with server.transfer. You will need to do some additional settings. you can do it once you know encounter those problems. You can Google those problems and you will easily get the solution. But at this point of time, you just need to know that there are two ways to transfer the control from one page to other. One is called as response.redirect, another is called as server.transfer. So in response.redirect, you get the whole transfer to the next page. You see the URL of the next page where you are going. But in server.transfer, your control gets transferred to the next page, but your URL doesn't get affected. So this is the problem. Like if you use the query string in case of server.transfer, you will not be able to read that particular query string because that is not present into that that URL right now. So there are some settings for this also, which is the exercise for you. They are easy and you can easily get their solution on Google. So I hope you understood this critical concept and frequently required uh, task. Like you will need to transfer control from one page to other. You will need ability to upload files onto the server. You will need, and fetching these files is very easy. You can, if it is an image, you can simply give href. You can use an image tag and give src control to this particular image, and that image will get stored. So it is ideal to store image into file system and store its path into the database. So if you have created a database for let us say user profile, let us take the example of Facebook itself. So you have the option to store image into the database also. You can store the image in database, am I right? You can take a blob data type or image data type of database and store the image into database itself, but this will increase the load on database. So for that you can uh, just store the reference of that URL into the database, or alternatively you can rename that image to the identical field, that is the ID field of the image, and with the extension, so there will not be duplication of records and deletion won't be required. And just like your Facebook post, you can store and upload the photos in by making a folder with that particular post identical name and store all the images inside that particular folder. And only in case I would like to tell you when to store the files into database is when it is extremely critical, like your signature. If you have given any bank examination, they restrict you to upload your photo less than 50 KB and your signature less than 20 KB. So why do they do that? Because they are storing those images into database for better security, because your photo and your signature can be misused if they are if they get stolen, or if they get attacked by ransomware or some any other hacks. So in that case you need to only store your files into database. And if you search Google for how to store file in database, you will find a code snippet of 8 to 10 lines which will guide you how to store that particular image or PDF file into database. So depending on criticality of the information, you can choose to store it on either on file system or into database. So I hope you understood these concepts. See you in the next lecture.